Xaiden Salas slid his notebook into his bag and slung it over his shoulder. The other students had long since cleared out the classroom at the sound of the bell. But Xaiden was engrossed in finishing the chapter he'd started writing during the monotonous droning from the hunk of metal in front of the class, so he hadn't even realized class ended. Xaiden preferred listening to the lessons through his imprint at home, and didn't see the point of sitting in a classroom just to hear a robot talk, so he used his classroom hours to work on his novel. Today he was working on a fight scene and got a bit lost in the world he was creating. Walking past empty desks as he made his way out of the room, he shot one last glare at the machine, already powered down at its charging station in a corner. Useless, Xaiden muttered. His friend, Jax, was leaning against the wall in the hallway next to the door, completely distracted by whatever was playing in his imprint. You ready? Xaiden asked, purposely bumping into Jax as he walked by. Glancing back as he asked, Are the others already outside? Am I ready? Jax was incredulous. He poked Xaiden's shoulder accusingly. Are you kidding me? I've been trying to get your attention for ages. Now you want to come waltzing out and ask if I'm ready? Easy now, Xaiden sighed. Sorry, I lost track of time. He tapped his imprint to check the time display. They'd already lost 30 minutes of daylight and he had an almost equal amount of notifications. Most of them were probably from Jax, whose imprint wouldn't allow him to step foot in Xaiden's classroom after Jax hacked into the class droid and made it play punk rock music to get Xaiden's attention under similar circumstances. The least that thing could do is turn our imprint notifications back on once class ends. Xaiden complained. If you didn't notice everyone around you leaving, I doubt even your imprint could get your attention. Jax shook his head. You're really intense sometimes, you know that? Yes, but I bet you won't be complaining when you're done reading the chapter 1 just finished. Xaiden deflected with a grin and tapped his left temple, ignoring his own imprint springing to life in the corner of his vision. Write some more, Xaiden. What happens next, Xaiden? He mocked. Yeah, Jax nodded. I'll read it when I get home. He was quiet for a moment, then said, I'm just saying you should pay more attention to your surroundings. He sighed defeatedly and continued, The others already went ahead, so we need to hurry and catch up. Jack started walking towards the front of the school before he even finished his sentence and without a backwards glance. If Jax was this upset, the others would be even more so. Xaiden worried as he tried to catch up to Jax, who clearly was done waiting on him. They walked quickly through the corridors of the school and past the gate at the entrance. They slowed to a steady pace as they passed the school guard and slipped behind some tall shrubs along the busy street, then broke into a full sprint to the forest behind the school. Xaiden had discovered a gap in the chain fence here when he first started attending school and was chased by some obnoxious seniors. He quickly pushed the memory aside and focused on pulling the rusty metal out of the way as Jax tossed his backpack through and squeezed past. He may not be as athletic and quick with his fists as the main character in his novel, but he's proud that he'd still been able to outsmart those guys and even form his own band of misfits in the weeks after that incident. Not many people would venture to these woods, even if it wasn't completely illegal to step foot past this deteriorating fence. History books from the first grade uncovered the horrors that these woods contained in increasing detail. They warned of artifacts from past wars, chemical spills, and the ever-present chance of walking into a derelict trap. Many had lost their lives trying to satisfy the greed of investors who believed with enough money, they could clean the forest up and use the wasted real estate on something more profitable. After an explosion caused air pollution for the surrounding cities for several years and severely damaged the delicate ecosystem they maintained, the Archon at the time had completely banned all access to the forest. That was over 500 years ago now, and this forest was still the most feared place on the planet. Getting caught accessing these grounds would be enough for lifetime imprisonment for endangering the community. And Xaiden knew this better than most since his own ancestor had been the one to declare it off limits and entrusted each generation after to uphold this decree with the utmost care. That's exactly why he chose to slip into this forbidden land back then. He knew those guys wouldn't follow him no matter how tough they acted. Even if they did try telling someone what he did, no one would believe that a member of the prestigious and royal Salas family would ever cross that line. He felt a bit guilty about risking his friends' lives and futures when he first showed Jax the way through, but desperate times, desperate measures. Still, it had been a long time since they had needed to use this as an escape. It had soon become a fun adventure and an ironically safe space for them as their gang expanded, and they spent their afternoons carefully exploring and mapping the land.